Well, joining me is National Senator Matt Canavan, the former Resources Minister, who late this afternoon declared that he would stand in the ballot for the new Nationals leader. Matt Canavan, thank you so much for joining us, as you do every Tuesday, and thank you for honouring the appointment. What shape has David Littleproud left the Nationals in?
Well, as you said just before, Andrew, he played an integral role in killing our support for the crazy idea of net zero emissions. So I'll always credit him with that. That's been pretty much my mission in life, because that policy is holding our nation back. You can see the costs of it this week at the petrol browser, because we can't develop all our oil and gas resources if we're committed to net zero by 2050. So I do thank David for his service to the party. Andrew, it's your job to comment, to criticise, to critique, but as someone on the football field with David, I know how difficult it can be sometimes. I know the bruises you can take taking the ball up, and David took the ball up admirably for the Nationals Party. Like him, I love this party. I do believe our pragmatic, our on-the-ground approach to politics is exactly what this country needs, because we've had far too much grand thinking, grand planning, which has cost Australians a fortune. We have to revive our country now. I've got great hope for Australia. The hope for our country is that everything we need to take back our nation, to revive our fortunes, is here in Australia. We've got it all. We've got the resources. We've got the great people. We don't need to import things from overseas. We don't need to increase our migration. We don't need massive amounts of help from others. We can do it ourselves as long as we back our country, and that's what I'd love to do if I'm given the honour of leading the Nationals Party tomorrow.
Well, I think we've heard but mainly your pitch for leadership there, but I did ask you what shape David Littleproud left the Nationals in. I'm guessing that, well, let me ask it a different way. What would you do that's different?
Well, look, as I said, Andrew, I ran for leader last year to dump our net zero policy, and that's what we've done now. So I don't have major policy disagreements with David. Of course, we face a political threat right now from the emergence of other parties on the right. And where I think I can help our party is that I have been consistently against things like net zero. I've been consistently against the excessive government overreach during COVID, which has unleashed the highest inflation rate in the developed world. So with that background, I think I can be an effective leader, an effective voice to combat the excesses of government overreach, to pull back on the net zero state, which is a handbrake on development. So I do believe I can play that role. I thought I could last year when I ran for leader. Obviously, I respected the decision of the party room then, and I'll respect it tomorrow. But I'll firmly put forward the reasons why I think I'm in the best position to lead our political party, but most importantly, to deliver results for the Australian people. People are really suffering right now. It's not just the petrol shortages we see this week, it's small businesses every week going under, record numbers of that happening. So many more are under pressure because the cost of everything just keeps going up under this government that fails to take the tough decisions we need to have a functioning and prosperous country.
I think you've touched on what I would have thought is one of the main differences. It is that, as anyone knows who's been watching you on this show or wherever for years will know, that you have been very firm in your opposition to some of the things where the issues are now coming your way, net zero, of course, in particular. Whereas it seems to me a lot of the coalition leaders in the past, and in part, David Littleproud too, it looks more like a policy distinction. They might be one way one year, they might be the other way the next, depending which way the polls blow. You're a man of conviction and authenticity at a time when it seems to me the public is so desperate for it. They go, for instance, to Pauline Hanson. They don't see it in the coalition. Is that where you think you would have an edge, that you would seem to a lot of voters very genuine in the policies that you are now pushing?
Well, look, thank you for that, Andrew, and I'll let others maybe give me that level of bouquets, but I've tried to be consistent. I've tried to act according to my convictions. I do think, and have been openly said, we lost our way in the last few years, I've seen the predominance, the tyranny, if you like, of focus groups descend on this place, and it's led this country into a complete mess. So I think it's about time we change the approach and just back what we think is best for our nation, fight for that, and we might just be surprised how lucky we are. Keep in mind, Andrew, that some of those governments that did lose their way happened when Barnaby Joyce was our leader. I mean, in effect, he was Mr. Net Zero with Scott Morrison, who brought this terrible policy in while he was the leader of the Nationals Party. I opposed it from the get-go. I opposed it then, I oppose it now, and I'll oppose the expansion of a green climate state trying to tell everybody what to do in the future. I will always be consistent on that front.
Well, you've already given your first salvo to show the new style. It's against Barnaby Joyce. Talk about that. I mean, the one nation threat is very, very real for the Nationals. I mean, you're facing an Armageddon in the countryside, particularly in lower house seats, with that one nation up and running. What would your approach be to neutralising that threat?
Look, the main thing, Andrew, is to focus on the people. The more you focus on the politics and other parties down here, the more you're losing your way. I mean, our focus has got to be what we can do to improve people's lives. I mean, we've spoken about some large ideological issues here, but my whole career has been replete with seeking to do things that improve people's lives. And I'll give you one example. Early in my political career, the problem was we didn't have a hospital car park at Rockhampton. We had a hospital with no car park. It was terrible for sick patients and relatives to visit the facilities. And Michelle Landry and I worked very hard. We got that. We delivered that. And that's immeasurably improved people's lives. I would say, Andrew, Pauline Hanson has been in politics for 30 years, more than double the time I've been in politics. But I struggle to point to one hospital improvement, one dam, one road that Pauline Hanson has improved. In my time in politics, we've helped build the Rocky Ring Road. We've built the Rookwood Weir, the first dam for farming in Queensland for a generation. We've got behind real things that make a real difference to people's lives. And that has got to be our focus, to win back people, which would ultimately, of course, if we do that, lead to political success.
And what about the coalition? I mean, you were very much in favour, you were quite happy with splitting from the coalition if they wouldn't go the Nationals' way on a couple of issues. Is the Liberal Party now a bit of a handbrake on you? Are you tainted by them? Do you think the future for the Nationals would lie between now and the next election in running their own race, not being in coalition?
Well, the short answer is no, Andrew, and the longer answer is I don't, except that I would have been happy to see the coalition split. I a number of times said I wanted to see the coalition stay together. I didn't see why we'd have to split a few months ago over the issue that arose. We do have differences of opinion sometimes. I've seen that time and time again, but I've got a long history of managing those differences. I was in a cabinet government under both Malcolm Turnbull and Scott Morrison, and worked very cooperatively with my colleagues, including Angus Taylor. I've worked very closely with Angus. We fought together in 2019 to expose the costs of then Labor's absurd climate change policy of cutting emissions by 43%, which we're still not even close to getting to. But we fought against that. We did some modelling. We ran around the countryside, sometimes without the approval of the then leader's office, but we did it, and both of us helped, I think, deliver a victory in that election. So I've got a lot of time with Angus, a long history working with him, and whatever happens tomorrow, I think Angus has done a remarkable job in just the short time he has been leader, and I think he's going to be a very successful leader of the Liberal Party long term. Yeah, look, I've got nothing against Kevin Hogan and Michael McCormick, who are the other two people I expect will be putting up their hand, but everyone will know that I've always thought that you were the future for the National Party, for that sense of authenticity that I think voters are screaming for, plus, of course, your position on net zero, which I thought was most important. So all the best to you. Thank you very much for your time, Matt Canavan.